What explains the delay in the Supreme Court issuing a ruling on Trump's immunity claim? All right, well, let's have one of you experts, first of all, explain what is the immunity claim. This is one of his 4 trials that he was supposed to have before the election took place. You know, don't get me started on that because I go off on that every week. They should have done this. They had all the time in the world. Merrick Garland, another useless apparatchik from the Democratic Party who couldn't get it done. The immunity claim. This is the one where Trump is claiming that you can't put me on trial for anything because as president, I can basically do anything, including kill people. Right?
Yeah.
And it's 114 days, I read, that the Supreme Court has had this. Is there?
Let's discuss the most recent Real Time with Bill Maher episode, which included former Congressman Adam Kinzinger and former Governor Andrew Cuomo. Cuomo and Maher didn't sugarcoat it. They openly criticized what they described as a slow and increasingly politicized judicial system. The fact that more than 100 days have gone by without a decision isn't just a scheduling issue, it's undermining public trust in one of the nation's most important institutions. The conversation was incisive, timely, and full of brutally honest observations about the current state of American politics, both domestically and internationally. One of the first topics they covered was the Supreme Court and its now famous delay in ruling on Donald Trump's claim of presidential immunity. The larger issue is that these delays convey the impression that our courts are more interested in political optics than in justice, which sends the wrong message at the worst possible moment to a public that is already doubtful.
Like Roe versus Wade, and you do it at the end of a term because, abortion's been a certain policy for 50 years. This is a time of the essence, and somebody is trying to delay. That said, even if it comes out next week, there is still, Judge Chuckin gave 88 days until the trial started. I could see her still starting the trial in September. Donald Trump will say it's too close to the election, and she'll say, you're the one that appealed. I was ready to go at the beginning of the year. So I still think it's possible that this goes.
Yeah, but you know what's scary about this, from my point of view? The trials in New York, you had Florida, Georgia, and 2 in New York. The 2 trials in New York, New Yorkers said, 66% said the justice system is politicized. And there's nobody in New York who likes Trump. And still, 60.
One of the episode's more enlightening conversations focused on Donald Trump and his remarkable capacity to use legal matters as political fodder. Maher and Cuomo explained how Trump's involvement in high-profile legal matters, such as the New York hush money trial, has not diminished him but rather strengthened his position. What would have ended the careers of other politicians has instead served as a rallying cry and a source of funding for his supporters. Trump's followers interpret the legal battles as proof that the establishment is attempting to quiet him, rather than as proof of guilt, and each indictment seems to buttress his stance as a political outsider fighting against a system he thinks is biased against him. He has mastered the story and keeps using it to his benefit. Even though the focus should be on his legal issues, this strategy maintains his name in the news, wins over his supporters, and keeps him at the forefront of national discourse.
Because they believe it is political. And you want to talk about a threat to democracy. When you have this country believing you're playing politics with the justice system, and you're trying to put people in jail or convict them for political reasons, then we have a real.
The discussion, however, went beyond Trump, Cuomo, and Kinzinger to look at how this period of legal and political drama is impacting the larger justice system. They identified a troubling trend: the public's growing belief that courts are being used to settle political scores, even though that isn't the case. This is dangerous because people are losing faith in institutions that are meant to be impartial. Rather than providing clarity, legal disputes are widening America's political rift. Although Trump may be the most prominent example, both parties now use legal challenges as fundraising tools and messaging campaigns, turning every indictment or investigation into another partisan flashpoint. This isn't a one-man show, rather it's becoming a standard political strategy, which leads to greater division, mistrust, and a diminished sense that the system is actually serving the interests of the people.
was the greatest fundraising bonanza
Yes.
ever. He was lagging behind Biden, and now he's pulled quite a bit ahead. That trial was the greatest reason people
Yes.
had to send their checks for 5, 10, 25, whatever dollars to Donald Trump.
Yeah.
So, I mean, look, it's a Hobson's choice always with him, because he's always guilty.
Yeah.
It's not like he's not guilty of any of these crimes, but the repercussions might be worse. I mean, this is something politicians always had to face. Remember when Obama came to office, they were like, how can you not put those people in jail, those Wall Street people? And Obama was like, yeah, that would feel good, and it is the right thing to do, but it's also more the wrong thing to do because it'll tank the whole economy. Those are the kind of tough decisions that you have to make. So I was always with you on the one in New York, the hush money trial. I don't think they should have brought that one. It was just always going to look like a sex case, and people were always just going to look at it that way. So anyway,
That case, the Attorney General's case in New York, frankly, should have never been brought. And if his name was not Donald Trump, and if he wasn't running for president, the former AG in New York, I'm telling you, that case would have never been brought. And that's what is offensive to people. And it should be, because if there's anything left, it's belief in the justice system.
Just heard the one about trying to overthrow the government of
Yes.
the United States. That's the main thing. He tried to overthrow the government of the United States. And now we're going.
There is no doubting that Trump has benefited thus far from his legal strategy of portraying himself as the ultimate political outsider, but the mayor and the panel brought up a crucial point. If the legal challenges result in convictions, or if independent voters begin to lose interest in the ongoing controversy, the political momentum may begin to wane. This conversation wasn't just about one man, it was also about what his story revealed about the current state of American politics, the fragility of public trust, and the growing sense that the justice system itself is being pulled into the political battlefield. Trump's ability to dominate the news cycle is a double-edged sword. Yes, it keeps him relevant, but the same media attention that drives his campaign also keeps his legal troubles front and center for some voters. If the public begins to view these courtroom appearances as signs of serious misconduct rather than as evidence of persecution, it could affect his long-term political future.